dude, I literally just had like a perfect intro thought, like, and I was like, oh, that's what I'm gonna open with. But then I forgot it. Like, I
Should have
literally,
written it down like
it
you
was,
wrote down
when I wrote down all our other topics.
like
This
the
sucks.
I'm better than you, little kid.
Oh yeah,
Like,
that's right. I did write that down. That was really funny. Hey, internet, we just got here.
yeah,
It's awesome.
I've seen it.
Yeah,
We've all seen it.
we've all, well, everybody,
I would say
like
so.
Bill Nye, maybe.
Oh,
I bet
maybe
Mr.
not.
I bet Mr. Rogers hasn't seen it.
Oh.
It's pretty hard to show him stuff. He left me on red for many years.
Yikes.
Yeah. But anyway, well, let me welcome my first ever guest to the Pladcast, Wumpa, aka TheWumpaFruit, aka the fruit of the hour. His Royal Highness, the esports gamer.
Keep going. Yeah, keep going.
Big gamer man, straight as they come. I don't know. Yeah. So, and we're definitely not related. So this isn't media nepotism at all.
No.
Big famous
I don't know
YouTuber
why.
man recruiting new people into his network or anything. So welcome. Is that what you want to go by in the podcast?
What?
Do you want to go by Wumpa or do you want to go
I
by
don't-
David? Do you care?
I don't care.
Okay.
I'm just here, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We just got here.
We just got here. You're hired.
Hey, look. He said the thing. He
Hey,
said the
wait,
thing.
guys, what is this? Some kind of we just got here? I hate when that happens. It wasn't supposed to.
Wes Mandible W.
Another common Wes Mandible dub. Yeah. So anyway, how's it going, Wumpa? Long time no talk.
Yeah, it's been ages.
It's been a long time, as the MCU put it best, when they MCU'd Thanos to the death.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they just yahed all over him. They were like, Thanos, yeah.
Hit him with the longest yeah boy ever.
And he died.
Right there.
Dude, Black Bolt was in the MCU the whole time. He's just Doctor Strange is sitting there looking up into his eyes and he says, yeah, boy. And he died.
That was
Crazy.
That was the day that everyone wept in the theater.
That was a moment of all time in movie because it had the gravity almost to be the scene they wanted it to be. They were like, and Doctor Strange was crazy, and we were supposed to be like, what? And then they killed him. It was like, oh, yeah, that happened. But yeah, that movie, I think I talked about it in like the first episode or something. That movie's not good. No, I don't think so. And then because I feel like, I mean, objectively speaking, you have the MCU, and it's got its problems for sure. But people are like, you have the like common cinephile perspective where they're like, boo, it's the same movie all the time, and you know, but honestly, there's enough that's visually appealing about it, and they change enough that is like, yeah, but it's still like a fun movie to sit down and watch, and it's like you're not gonna be disappointed. And that was almost from the start of the MCU to like Endgame. And then after that, like, I feel like that started to slip. But
yeah,
that movie does not hold up to the first Doctor Strange.
No.
And a lot of, there's like that kind of cinephile apologist mindset for Sam Raimi, because it's like, oh, well, if you hate this movie, you know, it's your fault because this is Sam Raimi's style. And it's like, well, maybe Sam Raimi's style isn't suitable for the MCU because that's not really what it's about. The MCU is never about like risk taking or anything like that. It was big picture storytelling.
Yeah.
And it kind of lost that traction, which I think is part of why everybody kind of fizzled out on Marvel in the
You
first
think
place.
that movie specifically, or
No, just that idea because we
yeah,
stopped doing the big picture storytelling and we went down to small picture storytelling, which has the capacity to work, but it's like if you look at that, it doesn't really like I really enjoyed WandaVision because of some of the creative risks it took. So like I don't want to say that it's impossible to do that in the MCU. I feel like the creative risks that were taken in Multiverse of Madness were not cohesive with the rest of what had been previously established, I guess. We completely like dropped a lot of what Wanda had developed as a character. So like, you know, but like in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you know, that's a very contained story. And if you were to hold up the entirety of that show and compare it to something like X-Men from like 2000 or 2001, whatever year that came out, I couldn't tell you the difference between the two of them. Like it was very much that kind of movie, or like, you know, the way that they told that story just kind of felt like that early 2000s, hey, we made a superhero movie. But yeah, so
I'm not sure. The only shows from Marvel that I've like watched were WandaVision and I think Moon Knight. I think those are the only two. Just because the rest of them, I just haven't had any interest.
yeah.
But I guess unless you count like the Netflix stuff, in which I just finished watching Daredevil, but which that was a good show. I really liked that. But in terms of like Disney Marvel, I don't know. I feel like Moon Knight, from what I've heard, gets a little bit of flack, but I liked it. I thought it was.
I thought it was a good show.
It was good.
Yeah, I think that show, it did something that the only other show that Marvel made did, which was like it would leave you with more questions than answers in the first couple of episodes. So they were actually like slowly peeling layers back and, you know, building anticipation to story beats and that kind of thing. I really liked that they did that. I don't fully understand the hate that some people had for either of those shows. And maybe it's just because those types of shows aren't for them in the same way that Falcon and the Winter Soldier or Hawkeye or, you know, whatever weren't for me. But I think at the end of the day, both of those shows, or both of those types of shows, are drastically different from, you know, the feel that you get from the movies. Man, I missed that Age of Ultron high. Like I loved Age of Ultron, dude. When that came out, I think I talked about this the other day, but like I like Age of Ultron more than I like the first Avengers movie. I know it was different for a lot of people, especially when it came out. A lot of people were like, I like the first one more, and I don't know, man. I feel like Age of Ultron had better lighting. I felt like it had better character arcs. I felt like they had more emotional gravity behind a lot of things. I feel like Ultron was a better villain than Loki was. Loki was kind of lackluster to me, and I really didn't like him at all until Ragnarok. So, you know, and it's like I didn't even have a chance to decide I liked him in the second movie because I didn't even finish the second movie. I didn't like it that much. You know, I was like, the second Thor movie rather. So, you know, it's like Ragnarok was a big MCU redemption for me. And even for Thor, because I really didn't care for Thor that much. You know, it was like, I remember when Iron Man came out, that was a really good movie. Iron Man 2 came out, and that was an okay movie. And then Thor came out, and it was like, I don't like this. This was not good. But honestly, so after I watched Ragnarok, though, back in 2017, I think I went with you and your dad. Yeah. So when I watched that for the first time, I was like, dang, a really good movie. And then after I watched it a couple times, because then I picked it up when it came out to Blu-ray, and I watched it a couple times. It's like, you know what? I think I'm gonna watch the first couple Thor movies again. And it was like having the context of liking the character in the third movie actually brought me around, and I watched both of the first two movies and being like, oh yeah, this kind of helps like pad things out and like, you know, so it's weird. It's weird how your perception of things can change over time too. That's all I got on the MCU. I wasn't even really planning to open on that. So
completely different topic, but
completely different topic. Let's talk about Al Qaeda. So I think we should talk about a few things, and I'm going to use this as a segue to talk about it because it's not really about MCU's stuff, but I want to talk about being done dirty by algorithms and automative security measures. And you already know where I'm going with this. I'm going to start with the part where you don't know where I'm going with this, which is that Meta's comment filtering freaking sucks, dude. Like, so Meta is the overarching company of Facebook and Instagram and God knows whatever else, metaverse, you know, the classic VR chat game where you can play poker and go to work if you work at VR chat or whatever. Somebody posted, I follow this guy on Instagram. He makes Baldur's Gate / video game content. But he seems like, you know, kind of a big D&D guy. I think he's into LARPing. I'm not a huge LARPing guy. As a matter of fact, if somebody LARPs, I usually don't like them immediately. So this guy, his name is Oathbreaker Carry, and I really like his content. And his whole bit is that he's an Oathbreaker paladin, and so like he's got these reels that he does where he's in character. You know, he does this whole thing. So he'll talk about modern day issues or whatever in the context of D&D. So like in like a LARP fest way. You know, and it's really funny. And so, you know, instead of saying like no bitches, he'll be like, you know, no wenches or no maidens or whatever, like, you know. So it's a really funny bit. But anyway, he made a post that was actually just commentating on a story beat in Baldur's Gate 3, which that game's been out since September, right? Officially. So I feel like spoilers are fair game. Is that fair, do you think, as somebody who's completed the game?
I think so. I mean,
it's
I feel
light.
Like by now, if you were going to at least explore the majority of the game, you would have, whether it's through content or playing it yourself. But.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, cool. So, so Maul's contract with Raphael, you have choices that you can make in that game to steal it or destroy it or, you know, whatever. So he was commentating on that and, you know, the complexities of that situation and what's really right or wrong, you know, in that scenario. And it was a good post. I really liked it. You know, it's like, and I kind of posted like, you know, I had my little like, you know, glasses and, you know, finger up in the air moment. And I kind of made like this long post trying to engage with his commentary. And then, like, I don't know, 30 seconds later, they were like, Meta, not him, not somebody, nobody like destroyed my comment or anything. Like they didn't get rid of it. They were just like, this is not within our community guidelines and you can't say this. And it was literally the most like civil worded, like, this is a great post. I really like this, and here's my thoughts. And they were like, this is grounds to be really hurtful to somebody, and we deleted it. And it was like, there was no contesting. There was no, you can't say you got this wrong. There's no like, you know, and I was just like, what? Like, it was so weird. I was really annoyed at that. So I guess maybe I shouldn't have been too surprised when I ran into a similar issue. Anyway, I kind of forgot about that until just now. I'm glad I wrote it down. So I logged in to play Valorant the other day with friends, perhaps even Wumpa included, if we had been playing long enough, because you would have seen us playing and you would have been like, I'm good at Valorant. and then you would have popped in and said, "Hey, I want to play with a gold 3. I want to play with a plat 1. I want to play with a diamond 6."
There you go.
and but what do you think they said to me when I logged in? Do you think they were like, "Oh, welcome back. It's so good that you're back to play this game that you're spending money on and having fun, and you were on last night and you were playing a competitive game and you were not doing very good, but you were smiling the whole time"? Do you think they said anything like that, David?
I don't see why they wouldn't welcome a
I've got
paying
a surprise for you. They did not say that. They said, "You're banned forever." That's what they said. They said, "Boo you." And then they said, "Permanent ban." So apparently I'm too good at the game. I'm an Iron 3, as you know. Or according to those guys we queued with in the duo that one time, when they were like, You're so bad. What are you, an Iron 0? It was like, so those guys were definitely gold 1. But for anybody that's familiar with ranks in those games, understand exactly what I'm saying. And so I got permanently banned. I was too good. They said that I was banned for using third-party cheats, and I don't know what they're talking about. That's about the sum of it. I played with you guys the night before in a competitive game.
We had a 5-stack, right?
Yeah, and it was like, I don't know, there was you and one other or 2 golds, I guess. So it was a plat, 2 golds, a bronze, and me, the Iron 3. So I'm like almost bronze. I like to think that Iron 3 is honorary bronze. It's kind of like participation trophy bronze 1, I think, but that's just my opinion. And we played against, like, I don't know, I think they were all like golds and silver, 1 silver, maybe 1 bronze or something. No, there was an iron on their team, but he actually did okay. So I think he was smurfing. So that's gotta be it. So we played, and I did doo-doo. I think I went 3 and 15, maybe 4 assists or something like that. And I guess I got reported because there's no way that the Iron 3 killed somebody more than once. You know, we've both played with people who assume the worst of other players at times. So it's not super unlikely that somebody was like, "No, there's no way, this guy's cheating," and then reported me. But here's the thing. I still don't know what Valorant's Vanguard thing picked up at the end of the day on my computer, because it's like everything that's on my computer I've put on there. Like, this is a production/work computer. Like, I have put, it's like Valorant's on here so I can make videos with it and stuff. And like, so I don't know what it picked up. I put a voice mod on recently. I put, there was like, my Stream Deck software, but it's like all those things are things that other streamers and content creators use too. So
yeah, it wouldn't make sense if that is what tripped it, but at the same time I couldn't think of anything else that would flag. So
the only other thing I could think of is, and I can't remember if we talked about this yesterday, but the only other thing I could think of is that there was that one time that somebody got into my account and they played like 2 games. And I mean, their scores weren't outstanding. It was like they played a comp game and they played a Swift play, and they did okay. Like,
they were, they were moderate games.
They maybe did a little better than me, but they weren't crazy. I mean, that was actually what was really funny, was that I was talking to Smiley. So people that follow the streams and stuff know who Smiley is. He's one of the mods. So we were playing, and he pointed it out, because I mean, it wasn't like he was like, "Oh, hey, somebody was in your account." It was just a moment of like, I was like, I'm too scared to solo queue. I don't like going into solo queues on comp or anything. The most I'll do is solo queue unrated, which is arguably worse. But I I was like, I don't want to. He's like, well, it looks like you did pretty good last night. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, yeah, you got your Brimstone game. And I was like, I never play Brimstone. And so I was very confused. And it was like they ran 2 agents that I never run. So that's the only reason I caught it at all. And so I went and I like reset everything and made sure that everything was secure and, like logged everything out from all locations after I had reset everything. So it was like I went through the whole process. The only thing that I can think is that maybe they were running something when those games happened, because supposedly Valorant doesn't actually like ban you in like appropriate time. Like they do it, they like accrue all the violators and then they ban them all together, so you don't actually have context for when. So the only thing I can think is that unless there's something that's falsely tripping Vanguard on my computer, I don't know. Then it's like it had to have been something that was on that computer, which at the end of the day, according to Valorant, which I kind of agree with, your account security is your responsibility. However, when I get banned out of the blue, thinking I'm doing everything right, it's like, so,
I mean, when it comes to like, I guess building up that pile of people ready to get banned, I don't know that like cheats would necessarily trigger that. Because like the other day we got into a match that we had a cheater in. I don't know if you were there for it, but we got in and there was someone that was talking about like they were being kind of weird about it. The way that they were talking was like they were doing okay at first, and then they're like, "Oh man, please don't report me. Please don't report me." And we're like, "Okay, that's kind of weird." And then like I spectated him.
Yeah.
After I died, and he did something, and I was like, "Oh wow, I'm glad that we have the Smurf on our team this time." And then the next round, he's like, "Guys, these accounts are getting really expensive. Please don't report me. I don't know if I can keep affording." And we were like, "All right, is he cheating?" So we reported him, and then like 2 rounds later, the game like just ended.
Yeah.
And we got hit with like the red screen that was like a cheater has been detected. And so like the game's just been basically like canceled or whatever,
crazy.
and no MMR change went through. Which that's the first time I've gotten that personally. I've seen it in the past, but not like in one of my matches. So if it was like actual cheats, I feel like that's what it would have happened. What would have happened to your game?
Yeah, right.
Not just like randomly you go to log in and it's like, hey, we detected third-party software.
That guy is like the definition of I can stop anytime I want. That's crazy. So he's just buying new accounts every time he gets banned.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah,
that's insane.
Which is crazy because I mean I think you said that you had like a hardware ban, right?
Yeah. So I think you can get around it with a VPN and definitely don't do that. But which I'm not. For the record, I am not doing that. I had somebody ask me if I wanted them to show me, and I was like, no, I really don't. I'm like, if I'm trying to tell these people that I'm an honest player, and I need to at least act like an honest player, even if they're in the wrong. And I know that they've got a lot of confidence in how their system works. And I don't, but that doesn't really matter. So we'll see how that pans out, but I'm not super impressed by that. But that's okay, because they're probably not super impressed by my cybersecurity capabilities. So
have they responded to your support ticket yet?
No,
it's been like 2 days now.
It's been 2 days, yeah. So I checked my ticket this morning, and it said last activity was 31 minutes ago or whatever. And I was like, oh, so somebody said something, and then I opened it. And then it was like last activity 2 days ago. And I was like, well, come on, dude. And so I'm just like, you guys are trying to make me think that you guys are doing something about this. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it. So we'll see if that straightens out eventually. I have games that like I've recorded playing with you and other people. But usually they're just like, little clips or whatever of, just the games, and it's always like me getting laid out and then rolling my eyes and trying not to like be like sour about it. So it's like, but this is the only VOD that I actually have that I was looking back through, and it's all like, people making jokes about, somebody botting or whatever. And then finally there was somebody that said, oh shoot, hold on, I'm sorry, my sheep started going crazy, so I lost my train of thought. Literally the worst. Yeah, almost as good as the intro that I almost had. I can't wait for that to come back to me in the middle of the night. And I'll be like, that's what I was going to say. And then I won't write it down, and I'll be like, what was I thinking about last night? So I'll be like,
It'll just be a nightly routine where you remember and then.
yeah. If you want to remember what you're writing, or like remember the things you want to write, you got to actually write it down. That's the crazy concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. You can't just not. I used to have like, there was like a phase in my life where that was what I did, where I would go to bed and then I would think of something and I'd be like, gah, and I have to get out of bed and I'd grab my notebook and I'd write it down. And then I'd close it and then I'd go back to bed. And then there were some times where I would lay down, I'd get situated, comfortable, and then I'd be like, and then I would get back up and then I would go write something else. And then I would go to bed. That was when I was like waking up at the butt crack of dawn, like 3 a.m. or whatever. Mm-hmm. Back when I was big package handler, man. But
best in the business.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Not at first. I was terrible, but I proved them wrong eventually. But that's how it goes. That's how it goes. I think that there are a lot of good employees and workers out there that get missed because there's a big emphasis on metrics and numbers, and they forget about the real life factors that are what make the metrics versus the metrics that you need to reverse engineer to get the work. There was a lot of kinds of work that I would see, people finding different ways to double up their scans or whatever, like, because they would track by your packages per hour, which wasn't necessarily, based off of the trailers you loaded. It was based off of how many packages you scanned. So people would go and they would scan boxes that they weren't loading or whatever, and it was like, so you were compromising quality to get the numbers that they wanted you to have. And I just didn't work that way, and so I kept going until I could just do the job the way you were supposed to do and then have the crazy numbers to back that up. So it's like, that's a hard job though. I mean, it's like, I don't care who you work for, whether you're working for, FedEx or UPS or, the USPS or whoever, that's a hard job.
I'm gonna say, I mean, it's easy to say it's not, and then have to go do it and find out otherwise. But
yeah, like you did a little bit of that. Like you were with somebody for a season.
Yeah.
And maybe your side was a little different, but I not that you were in bad shape prior, but like you were in really good shape after you did that. So it's like you're at least doing something with your body.
I will say I miss that part, like the constant exercise, having to push like huge packages around a warehouse. But
yeah. No, I mean, and like you've known me your whole life, so I mean, it's like I was always a fat kid, so it's like, when I was working at a grocery store and then I went full time into the night shift at FedEx. I was in like decent shape by like the second or third month, and then I was in really good shape for the next couple of years. And that was even after stepping down to part-time so I could go to school. And I remember promoting and being, after, I think I was like there for a year, and then I had promoted to like the first like step up to management there. And I remember being like, oh man, it's like I'm gonna lose all my like my progress on, on myself, like my fitness and because I was like, I'm not gonna be moving boxes all the time. And then it was like after I had started, I recognized that it was like if you are running like a loading dock, you're getting at least 30,000 steps a day. It was at least, and I was like, oh, I'm fine. So, and then after I left that job, I was like, so however, here's one of the biggest positives I'm gonna say coming from getting my Valorant ban is now that they're saying I can't do that. I'm like, well, I gotta figure something else out to do with my time, and I don't really. There's not like other games that are calling my name, so now I'm running every morning, and I'm like, this sucks, but it's not fun, but it's nice to have something, to like claim, I guess, or do.
Yeah.
So it's like, we'll take it, but it's not fun at all. But I can't really think of anything else to do outside of, like work or yeah. So that's what I'm doing now.
It's probably better than sitting there for however long, just mauling at a game.
Yeah. I guess I could just sit here the same amount of time at my desk and just not do anything. I could just stare at the screen
blankly.
Yeah.
Just pretend that you're playing Valorant.
Dude, I could. Okay, so probably the last topic, but have you, speaking of watching people play Valorant, are you keeping up with Masters Madrid at all?
Some more than like I have in the past.
Yeah.
But
so Loud and Sentinels are playing this morning. I haven't seen if they've.
I watched the end of the first game.
Okay, yeah, they were not having a good time. Loud.
Oh yeah, no, they
had a bad
got
time.
Stumped.
Did you see? So you saw the final score?
Yeah.
What did it come down to?
It was 13-3, I believe.
13-3, yeah.
Sentinels,
I tuned out at 10-3 to start here. And I was like, woof. And I was, Loud was not having a good time. So I'll see what the scores are after we wrap up here. Assuming I'm willing to place a decent bet that Loud got into, or no, that Sentinels got into Loud's head, and made it a 2-match game. But who's to say? You never know.
Yeah.
But they were playing. Was that Split that they were playing on?
Yeah.
And they were just raffle stomping them, dude. It was painful. It was
kind of tragic.
Yeah. It made Loud look like they didn't just play a really good game against Genji. Like, it was crazy. But yeah, I'm like, so I'm interested to see how it develops. I've really been enjoying watching the matches that have been broadcast out of Madrid, but it's a bummer I lost my account when I'm like at the peak excitement that I've ever been for this game. So
have you followed any other, like, not Valorant specific, but just pro league in general?
Esports?
Have you ever?
No, never. I've always kind of thought that it was goofy. I mean, like, I always respected that it was like there are people that are really good at games and they get paid okay, to go play them. But it's like, I feel like that's a good trade-off for somebody that just wants to play a game, is if they can just go sweat and like, like go make a living playing it. Like, it's like, oh, it's no harm. Like, I respect that. Like, I don't necessarily, like, I'm not the kind of person to make fun of somebody that does it, but no. So like, I've never really gotten super into it. I never followed, the only other game I could think of that maybe I would have followed the pros on would have been maybe like Siege when we were playing it, because that was probably the closest I've ever been to like a peak excitement for a game like that. Like I've been with Valorant lately. Um, but yeah, so no, not really. But have you? Like, I mean, has that kind of been?
Not really. I mean, like back in high school,
Yeah,
some of my friends and I would watch like as much of the whatever Siege game was playing like at lunch.
sure.
We just turn it on a phone and then geek out. But
Yeah.
that's kind of the extent of it. I tried watching the Overwatch League one time, and I immediately was like, "This isn't for me."
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I don't know. I just it never clicked for me. But also, I think my gaming was. I don't know. I mean, I like games, and I've grown up enjoying games, and I still, I it's a hobby, but it's not. I'm probably not the hardest going gamer either. Not probably. I'm not. And I never really have been. I think a lot of my gaming growing up as a younger sibling was watching somebody else play. And I enjoyed that, like that wasn't a bad thing. It was like there were often times that like I was not sure of what to do, and I would hand the controller to somebody else, like, somebody else. It was my brother. There was nobody else that really would have taken the controller at that point. But, so, so my like gaming didn't really fully take off until I got older, and like I built my first computer, or like when I bought my PS4, when I was in high school, or like just out of high school, I guess. That might be an interesting question, because you grew up with a dad that plays video games like religiously.
yeah.
So what was that like for you growing up? Because I imagine, like for me, that was kind of like a kid's space. So like my experience was, like my brother and I would play games, whatever those would look like. And my dad would play sometimes, but for the most part, that wasn't really what he was into. So, he'd play like Star Wars Battlefront or something with us. But like, what was that like for you? Because you didn't necessarily have gamer siblings growing up, right?
Yeah, I mean, my sister was like, so it's crazy because now she loves games, but
Yeah.
she used to be so against doing anything remotely similar.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's weird because like my dad only played specific games, so it was like PS3 days. It was like SOCOM Confrontation, and that was it. Anything else was not like worthy of his time, video game wise.
Yeah.
And so like he got me a copy of that, and I remember bits and pieces of it, but like I was probably so bad, and I remember there being times where like we would be in a match together, like a big group of us, and it would be like me versus 3 people, and I would just hand him the controller and be like, "Here, you go ahead, you're better than me." But like I guess, I mean, that was kind of the extent of it. Like I would play games that he wouldn't.
Yeah.
But my dad's kind of he's a rough dude, I guess. And so he'd just sit there and he'd be like, "That game's garbage. That game's trash." And I'm like, "I like it." Well, he's like, "I'm gonna go play Battlefield 3." And I'm like, "All right, have fun with that."
Yeah, I quote your dad a lot when I play games. Like, get out of here.
Get out of here. That's bogus.
Yeah, it's now it's unironic, but no, it's funny because like, we would play Siege a lot, the 3 of us, for a little while there. I think there was a season where you and I were kind of on the same level but you had a little more of an awareness of what was going on in the game. And then I think you built your PC or you bought your PC or whatever you did. And then you disappeared off of PSN for 6 months. And then you came back and like completely knew what you were doing and left me in the dust. And you were like running around as like Ash or Hibana or whatever, and like popping headshots with like, you know, through the corners or through the walls or whatever. And I was like, what happened?
It's a different playing field out there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I feel like that was kind of where I remember you taking off in shooters and, you know, like I know that you don't take a whole lot of credit, but like, you know, I guess we're just in different playing fields, you know, like I've never been super into shooters or like great at them anyway. But like, I feel like you really popped off somewhere in there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't consider myself good at like shooters, and it's one of those things where I guess like everyone is at least better than average at something. Like, and maybe like my aim is decent. I'm no like Shroud. Like I'm not gonna just jump into a game and be a god.
Yeah.
But like it's something that I can transfer sort of to most things.
Yeah.
Which is nice, but also it's irritating because I've thought to myself, especially with Valorant in the past, I hate to keep bringing that game up, but
well, you know, salt in the wound.
Yeah. There are times that I wish that I could just like forget everything that I know about the game or like lose my aim just so I could go and be a new blank slate.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've plateaued so heavily in general. And so just having that like that climb from like iron to wherever I end up, if it's back at like plat 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
Just to be able to feel something again. But
well, that's almost it's almost the game, right? Like that, and that's really I think where I've been finding enjoyment in it. And I think I kind of talked about this the other day, but like it's for me, I was enjoying Riot. That I was genuinely experiencing improvement in little ways that were starting to build towards bigger things, right? And so it was going from, you know, being too shy to go rank and then going and playing comp and making new friends in comp and like, you know, finding people to stack with and, you know, climbing through iron and, you know, it's like seeing, you know, little strides of improvement that you can look back at. And that being just learning the game and learning the community and, you know, taking it in. And that is what makes it the fun hobby versus it becoming this thing where it's like all about maintaining ranks and all about climbing and being better than everybody else or not. And it's like, there's this idea that I think isn't even about being better than everybody else. It's just trying to represent like you're better than everybody else. And so it really shifts the idea of what makes it fun, I think. And that's not to say that people can't enjoy things differently in their own ways. But it is different, you know, I mean, it's so like, I think that I hear what you're saying that like there was a time where it was like, this was the fun part and now it's about this. And I would really like it to go back to being about this, but it's kind of hard to do that when
even then, I don't know. The game, I have fun playing the game, but then it's like there are definitely times where you're sitting there like, why am I here? Why?
Yeah,
I could be doing so many other productive things. Why am I just sitting here at my desk?
I could learn like woodworking. I could go solve the Wordle today. I could do literally anything else. Yeah. Yeah, see, that's what I did though, is that they kicked me off and I said, I'm going to go run now. And now I'm sad, but that's not the point. The point is I'm running. So take that, Riot. They're going to be like, don't say we didn't do anything for you.
Oh, so you want to stay banned.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is if they catch on that it's helpful. I think, listen, here's the thing. I'm not optimistic. I don't think I'm getting that account back. And that's probably just going to be it. I mean, I know that the hardware ban is up after 3 months, but I don't foresee myself going back. Especially after you put a bunch of money into like the things that you like in the game, whether that's battle passes or skins or whatever. And I didn't drop a ton of money, but like, you know, if you look over the course of the last couple of years that I've been on and off playing, it's a decent amount of money. So, in terms of having a hobby, you know, I wouldn't say, you know, some people are just like, they see something cool and they go, where's my credit card? I mean, I have a little more discretion than that, but yeah, like I'm going to miss my Blast X Phantom. I really will. I will. That was the first skin that I ever bought, and for the longest time, the only skin I ever had. And then these last like 3 months, I started grinding out on battle passes. So yeah, you know, like that kind of stuff, that's a bummer. But we'll see. Steven had had a great idea to put my quote unquote cheats out to TikTok
for all to see,
for everybody to see. So we're gonna have a big reveal here in the next day or two that shows just how good I am at the game. So I'm looking forward to putting that out. So it'll be good. But yeah. So anyway, well, I think that's probably going to do it for our extended special edition episode Wumpa on Whoa. I Just Got Here. So thank you for joining me today and hanging out.
Yeah, of course.
We talked a lot about Valorant, but that's usually what we talk about anyway. So you don't really have any socials yet. Are you going to put some socials up so I can link to you? You know, like go be a big streamer man now that you're gonna be famous on this platform. It's gonna be a whole 20 viewers in the first 3 weeks.
Look, man, you know, you've been trying to convince me, but
yeah, you can go check out his highlight reels for Siege.
No, I unlisted those.
Dang it. Well, then I'm still gonna link to your channel in the event that you accidentally relist. Then people will check out your awesome
bully me into it.
Yeah.
No, I will never be listing that one again.
I'm gonna hack you and then put all up. I'm gonna use my cheats to make
your third-party software.
I'm gonna use all my third-party software that I have, and you'll be sorry. All right, cool. Well, that's it. We will see everybody later. And don't quote us on any of our sources because, after all, we just got here. See you later. All right.
So when do we kiss?
Oh, yeah.